It's starting to snow again, I said, looking up at the sky from the driver's seat. Late November in Minnesota always brings early sunsets like this. As we approached the Highland Park district, streetlights began casting their warm glow. The dashboard clock showed 4:15 p.m. The temperature gauge read 34 degrees Fahrenheit, and tiny snowflakes were dancing on the windshield. The aroma of homemade pumpkin pie filled the car. It was my pride and joy, carefully crafted since morning. The sense of cinnamon and nutmeg brought back memories of George, who had always loved my homemade pies. This would be my first visit to Adam's new home. It was my small gift for spending Thanksgiving week with my precious family. On the passenger seat, I had also packed ingredients for Ben's favorite hot chocolate. I'm Martha Hamilton, 65 years old. I worked as a receptionist at Mayo Clinic for 35 years. My pride was in comforting patients and offering words of encouragement when I saw worry in their faces. Now retired, I live quietly alone in St. Paul. Since losing my husband George to heart disease 2 years ago, time with my son's family has become more precious than ever. My morning walks and church volunteer work have become the pillars of my daily life. As I drove along Mississippi River Boulevard, my thoughts wandered to my new family's life. My son Adam has built a 10-year career as a real estate appraiser and now serves as the chief appraiser at Market Real Estate Appraisal. His meticulous and honest nature might have come from me. 3 years ago, he divorced his first wife Carol, who moved to London for her advertising agency job. My heart still aches remembering how devastated he was then. But Adam found a new life. He met Rachel, a pharmacist at Walgreens. Despite her irregular shifts including night work, she's always family-oriented. I love her homey nature and cooking skills, especially her green bean casserole that honors Minnesota's traditional flavors. At their wedding a year ago, my heart swelled seeing my son's happy smile. Though Rachel herself went through a divorce 5 years ago, that experience seems to have deepened her appreciation for family bonds. I trust the strength hidden beneath her reserved personality. And then there's my beloved grandson Ben, a 7-year-old second grader at St. Paul Elementary. He's a spirited Little League baseball player. I heard he recently hit a wonderful shot that contributed to his team's victory. It comforts me to see him calling Rachel Mom with such affection. He's a gentle boy who loves drawing and always sends me handmade birthday cards. This year's card showed baseball players on a field with a big sun in the sky and the words, "I love you, Grandma," dancing across it. Though his environment changed with the move 3 months ago, he seems to be adapting well. He happily told me on the phone about making new friends. Past the Highland Park shopping center, the quiet residential area spreads out. Sometimes, I enjoy tea at Caribou Coffee here with my best friend Sarah. A former nurse, we meet twice a week and get caught up in conversations about healthcare and family. Her experience-based advice is always spot on and reassuring. Even I, usually so punctual, lose track of time when I'm with Sarah. She promised to visit during my stay this time. The new house is a 2-story, 40-year-old single-family home. Snow will soon blanket the spacious yard. I heard Adam plans to install a baseball practice net there in spring. Street lights that Adam installed over the weekend line the approach to the entrance. The old rose bushes should bloom beautifully in summer. Though it's an old house with a basement, the living room with its fireplace is filled with family warmth. In the photos Adam showed me, the antique wooden mantelpiece was particularly impressive. Ben's room is the corner room on the second floor. He excitedly told me on the phone that he can see the park from his window. He's proudly displaying his baseball team's championship trophy and dinosaur figure collection. On weekdays, Adam works from 9 to 6. Rachel manages Ben's baseball practice transportation despite her irregular shifts. I was happy to hear they always have dinner together as a family. They share their day's events while watching NFL games on TV. Such ordinary moments must be deepening the bonds of this new family. Adam has grown into a good father, always making time to spend with Ben on holidays. As I parked the car, the front door already opened. "Grandma." Ben came running out. Rachel waved behind him. In the snowy twilight, warm light enveloped me. Snowflakes sparkled in the streetlight like angel wings. "Please be careful," Rachel said, reaching out to help with my bags. In her hand-knit sweater, she looked like she could be on a magazine cover. "The pie smells wonderful," she smiled. In my heart, I wished for this week-long stay to become a beautiful memory. Church bells rang softly from the direction of Cretin-Derham Hall High School. This is how winter always arrives in Minnesota. Warm light spills from the windows of old houses, and bare trees sway in the cold wind in backyards. And soon, unexpected events would unfold before us. But at that moment, I didn't have even the slightest premonition. The long night was quietly beginning. The morning that awakened in the cold was filled with gentle light. Coffee aroma wafted from the kitchen, accompanied by the sound of Ben crunching his cereal. Outside the window, last night's snow had accumulated lightly, gleaming in the morning sun. "Good morning, Martha. Did you sleep well?" Rachel smiled while making French toast. Despite just finishing her night shift, she showed no signs of fatigue. I felt warmth in her profile as she prepared breakfast in her apron. "Mom's French toast is the best in the world." Ben's voice rang out happily. The scent of maple syrup filled the room. "I'm off." Adam appeared in his suit and kissed Rachel's cheek. She called out, "Be careful," as he waved goodbye and left for work. His retreating figure through the window reminded me of George in his younger days. "Ben, it's time for school." When I called out, Ben quickly shouldered his backpack. Rachel was off after her night shift, so I was scheduled to take him. Walking to St. Paul Elementary in the freezing morning air, Ben chatted excitedly about baseball practice, his new friends, and the volcano model he's making in science class. His voice turned to white breath in the cold winter air. "Thanks for picking me up, Grandma." Ben turned and waved at the school gate. I watched his small back until he disappeared into the building. Back home, I helped Rachel with housework. We vacuumed, folded laundry, and started preparing lunch. But looking in the refrigerator, I was surprised. The ham, cheese, and vegetables bought just yesterday had diminished more than expected. The food seems to be disappearing quickly. "Yes, everyone's been quite hungry lately," Rachel laughed awkwardly. "Maybe Ben's going through a growth spurt." Her words didn't seem strange, but I thought I saw a shadow of hesitation in her expression. However, I didn't think much of it at the time. Ben returned from school at 3 p.m. We worked on math homework at the living room table. He solved addition and subtraction problems with a serious expression. Outside, snow had started falling again. "Rachel, time to go." "Yes, night shift," she answered while changing into her uniform. "Martha, Adam said he'll be late today. Could you handle dinner?" Of course. Don't worry. After Rachel left, Ben and I started preparing dinner. I heated cream of mushroom soup and made sandwiches. Ben was quietly drawing a picture of a house in moonlight. The light from the windows was colored in a mysterious blue. Adam returned home after 8 p.m. As he apologetically explained being caught up with work, looking tired, I offered him the soup I'd kept warm. And then that night came. I got up to use the bathroom late at night. The second-floor hallway was dimly lit by moonlight, my feet barely visible. The house was silent except for the cold wind rustling trees outside. Then I heard a faint sound. From Ben's room. Soft voices. My heart suddenly started beating faster. I approached the room quietly, keeping close to the wall to avoid making footsteps. Bluish moonlight leaked through the door crack. My heart pounded even harder. When I peeked in, my breath stopped. In the moonlit room, the bed was empty. And by the wall sat Ben in his pajamas. His back was turned, and he seemed to be talking to someone in a small voice. Suddenly, he turned around. His face in the moonlight wore an expression I'd never seen before. "Grandma, don't come in. They'll get angry." A trembling voice. Frightened eyes. A sensation like my blood freezing. Ben immediately turned back to the wall and started talking in a small voice again. As if someone was there. I froze, unable to move. Violent heartbeat and chills down my spine. Finally managing to quietly leave the room. Even back in my own room, Ben's trembling voice kept echoing in my ears. "They'll get angry." Who? What? That night, I couldn't sleep at all. Rolling over in bed countless times, Ben's frightened expression remained burned into my eyelids. Outside, the cold wind kept blowing, and the old house's creaking occasionally echoed ominously. At the breakfast table, last night's terror cast no shadow. Ben was stuffing his face with Cheerios as usual. Adam read the newspaper while drinking coffee, a typical morning scene. But my heart was still trapped in that pale moonlight. I'm off. Adam left for work, and Ben headed to school energetically. Rachel was resting in her bedroom after her night shift. In the quiet house, I mulled over last night's events. While gathering laundry, my unease grew. There were unfamiliar children's clothes in the basket. A navy blue hoodie too big for Ben. Gray sweatpants. And the amount of laundry was more than expected. Too much for a family of 3. The same unease was present in the kitchen. The bread, milk, and fruit bought yesterday were already half gone. Rachel's words about being hungry suddenly felt unnatural. And sounds from the basement. Faint footsteps, things being moved. Old house noises, or the heating system. But somehow, they seemed like living sounds. At dinner, I carefully observed Ben. He looked tired. Occasional glances exchanged between Adam and Rachel. An air of something being hidden seemed to hover. The next day, and the day after, the unease continued to grow. Increasing laundry. Disappearing food. Night sounds. And presence from the basement. Ben's behavior gradually changed too. "I have a secret friend," he would occasionally murmur. The wall conversations seemed to continue, with small voices heard at night. He showed worried expressions while watching his family. The energetic baseball boy was slowly showing signs of fatigue. I made my decision the day before Thanksgiving. When everyone was out, Adam at work, Rachel shopping, Ben at school. I slowly descended the basement stairs. The first thing that caught my eye was a locked door. A new padlock, unsuitable for a normal basement. And the heating pipes. Unnaturally bent pipes leading somewhere. To my eyes, familiar with old house construction, something was clearly wrong. The coal room. A space once used to store heating coal. A place that should be unused now. But from beyond the pipes came a faint warmth. The sound of unlocking echoed in the quiet basement. Beyond the door spread a scene I never expected. A converted space. A small bed. Bookshelf. Medical equipment. Oxygen tanks. Asthma inhalers. Signs of life were there. Mrs. Martha. A voice behind me. I turned to find Rachel standing there. She had returned early from shopping. Tears glistened in her eyes. "Let me explain." Her voice trembled. And then all the truth was revealed. Noah. A 12-year-old boy. Rachel's son from her first marriage. His father had refused treatment for his severe asthma. Believing prayer solves everything, he continuously denied medical care. Rachel decided to flee to protect her son. Adam found this for us. This hiding place in the house. As a real estate appraiser, he knew old house structures. He converted the coal room, set up heating, and created a safe haven. Ben plays with Noah every day. Keeping their secret promise. Noah who looks up to Ben like a brother, and Ben who treats Noah like a little brother. The wall conversations were actually through a secret passage to the basement. We're gathering evidence. Consulting with lawyers. Adam was collecting records of the ex-husband's medical neglect. Hospital charts, school records, testimonies. Preparations to regain custody were steadily progressing. Please help us." At Rachel's pleading voice, I sighed deeply. What I thought was fear turned out to be love. In the dim basement, we exchanged words for a long time. A mother's love for her hidden son. The bonds of a new family supporting that. And the approaching time of decision. Outside, snow had started falling. Before Thanksgiving, Minnesota's sky was quietly turning white. Great trials surely awaited us. I understand, I gripped Rachel's hand tightly. I'll help your family. Not even 24 hours had passed since those words were exchanged. Thanksgiving Eve, snow was piling deep outside and temperatures were dropping. The old house's heating system made groaning sounds, and frost crystals formed geometric patterns on the windows. I had just gone down to the basement to check on Noah. "How are you feeling?" "I'm okay. No attacks like yesterday." Noah smiled while reading his book. His eyes held his mother's gentleness. His hiding place had become a warm space despite its small size, thanks to Rachel and Adam's efforts. Baseball player posters on the walls, textbooks and storybooks on the shelves, and an asthma inhaler ready by the bed. That's when violent knocking echoed at the front door. Aggressive sounds like trying to break it down. "Rachel! Open up. I know you're there." A drunk man's voice thundered through the house. Rachel, coming up the stairs, went pale. Her hands shook, dropping the laundry basket she was holding. underwear and socks scattered across the floor. "James," she whispered in a trembling voice. "How did someone find us?" Her voice mixed exhaustion and fear, characteristic of someone who had been running for years. Adam moved quickly. "Noah to the hiding place. Ben upstairs." His voice was calm, but his hands trembled. His face had changed from the usual mild-mannered real estate appraiser to a husband protecting his family. Rachel hurriedly began gathering medical records and evidence documents. Hospital charts, school records, and letters from lawyers from the drawers. Her movements, though rushed, showed a certainty as if practiced many times. I took Ben upstairs. As we climbed the stairs, the sounds at the entrance grew more violent. "Grandma, I'm scared." Ben's voice trembled. His small hand gripped my sweater tightly. "It's all right. Stay quiet." While holding him, I was thinking, hoping my Mayo Clinic experience would help in this emergency. At the entrance, Adam confronted James. The front door was open, letting in cold wind and snow. James's large frame seemed to overwhelm Adam. "I'm calling the police," Adam's voice carried desperate dignity. "Go ahead. I've got a search warrant. I'll search every corner." The smell of alcohol spread with the cold air. James's face was red, his eyes bloodshot. I took out my phone. Acting swiftly while remembering the calmness cultivated at Mayo Clinic. First, the Johnson couple next door. "Janet, we need help. Call the police." "Yes, that house." Janet understood quickly. "Got it, Martha. I'll handle it right away." Next, my friend Sarah. "Come quickly. Be a witness for the medical records." "Yes, that matter." As a former nurse, she would understand the situation perfectly. Then, Highland Park Police Station. "There's a history of domestic violence, and children are in danger." "Yes, 687 Highland Park Street." Downstairs, Adam was desperately buying time. "Show me the warrant." "Without proper procedures dash." "Shut up." The sound of something falling. The entrance vase crashed to the floor, shattering. Rachel's scream. James pushed past Adam, stepping into the house with snowy boots. Melting snow left stains on the flooring. I descended the stairs. Maintaining the calmness cultivated through 35 years of hospital work. Straightening my back, composing my expression. Emergency response was my specialty. "So you're James." The man turned at my voice. Drunk eyes sized me up from head to toe. "Who are you?" he growled threateningly. "The mother of this house. And a former Mayo Clinic employee." I slowly took documents from my bag. My hands trembled, but my voice was steady. "These are your son's medical records. Records of emergency room visits for asthma attacks. And evidence of you refusing treatment. All dated and preserved." The man's eyes widened. Perhaps sobering slightly, his expression changed. Just then, sirens approached. Red and blue lights turning the corner created fantastical patterns as they reflected off the snow crystals. "These records have already been submitted to the police." A lie. But sometimes a mother's plea for salvation carries more power than truth. The man's face paled, the alcohol-induced redness draining from his cheeks. When the police arrived, James had already given up. sitting in the snow-covered entrance, staring blankly ahead. Violent entry, threats, and evidence of years of medical neglect. The police arrested him and immediately issued a temporary protection order. Sarah also rushed over, providing expert testimony. With these symptoms, immediate treatment was necessary. This is clear medical neglect. Her professional opinion made the situation definitive. Blue lights flashed in the heavy snow. Police vehicles filled the front yard, curious neighbors' eyes gleaming. Rachel leaned against Adam, shoulders shaking with sobs. Tears of liberation, or anxiety? When Noah emerged from the basement, the police officers were speechless. "How did you manage to protect him in such a place?" a young officer wondered aloud. Ben ran down the stairs and threw himself at Noah. "It's okay now. You don't have to hide anymore." Watching the two boys who were like brothers, I felt warmth well up inside me. The bond that had grown between them would surely strengthen beyond this ordeal. Outside the blizzard intensified, but inside the house had regained its calm. The fireplace flames flickered, and the scent of turkey wafted through the air. Tomorrow was Thanksgiving. It would be their first holiday truly spent as a family. The police vehicle's taillights disappeared into the snow. The red glow gradually faded on the fresh snow. I stood by the window and prayed silently. May this be not an end, but a new beginning. And may this family's bonds grow stronger and deeper. The bells announcing Thanksgiving echoed through the quiet residential streets of Highland Park. 3 months have passed since Thanksgiving night. Minnesota's harsh winter is finally beginning to soften. Melting snow in the backyard heralds spring's arrival. Things began moving rapidly after that night. Highland Park police acted swiftly, issuing a protection order immediately after James's arrest. The court understood the gravity of the situation and entered emergency proceedings. The evidence Rachel had gathered over years, Mayo Clinic medical records, and testimony from Sarah and me. In court, they told the story of a mother's love and the weight of a child's life. The lawyer carefully explained the reality of domestic violence and medical neglect. The judge's decision was swift. The verdict came right after the new year. A guilty verdict for James and complete custody transfer to Rachel. Everything was decided in just 6 weeks of proceedings. James's change was unexpected. After 2 months in detention, he became almost a different person. At the court where he received a 3-year prison sentence for medical neglect, he finally turned to Rachel and Noah and whispered just one word: "Sorry." His voice had lost its former intimidating tone. His parents also appeared. They tearfully apologized for refusing their grandson's treatment due to conservative religious beliefs. Now they're learning about the relationship between faith and medicine while participating in rehabilitation programs. They're allowed to write monthly letters to Noah. The new life took shape steadily. Noah finally emerged from the basement to live in the room next to Ben's. The two are as close as real brothers. Noah integrated quickly after transferring to St. Paul Elementary. His gentle nature made many friends. His asthma treatment is progressing well too. Regular hospital visits and proper medication have greatly reduced his attacks. Recently, he participated in a short-distance race during PE class and placed 3rd in his class. That night's dinner felt like a celebration. Rachel was promoted as a pharmacist and has fewer night shifts. Adam maintains his gentle nature, loving both children equally. Watching Minnesota Twins games together on weekends has become their new family tradition. Me? Yes, I still enjoy tea twice a week with Sarah. But now our conversations center around the grandchildren. Actually, I've decided to move near this house next month. Spending quiet afternoons reading picture books to my two grandsons over hot chocolate has become my greatest joy. The other day, Noah secretly told me, "Ben still sometimes talks to the wall." I couldn't help but smile. Yes. He probably doesn't want to forget those precious memories. The Highland Park neighborhood was beginning to embrace spring weather. The old roses in the garden would soon bud. Family laughter echoes by the fireplace. Sometimes I remember that Thanksgiving night. How what I thought was fear turned out to be great love. And how that love now exists in tangible form. The secret behind the wall no longer frightens anyone. It lives on only in our hearts as a precious story that confirms our family bonds.